The city of Chicago looked beautiful from far away. Tall buildings touched the sky. Glass towers reflected the sunlight like mirrors. Expensive cars moved fast on the clean roads. At night, the city shined with lights, like stars had come down to live on Earth. But not everyone in Chicago lived that shiny life. In a small, old apartment building on the west side of the city, a boy named Ethan Cole lived with his father. Their apartment was on the 4th floor at the end of a narrow hallway. The walls had cracks. The paint was old and falling. In winter, cold air entered through the windows. In summer, the room felt hot and heavy, but Ethan never complained. Because he knew something very important. His father was trying his best. Ethan's father, Daniel Cole, was a janitor at one of the biggest companies in the city. The company name was Harrison Financial Group, a powerful company that controlled banks, investments, and large business projects across America. Daniel did not work in an office. He did not sit on a soft chair. He did not wear a suit. He cleaned the floors. Every day, he woke up at 4:30 in the morning. He made simple breakfast, usually toast and eggs, then woke Ethan gently. "Wake up, champ," he always said with a smile. Ethan loved that word, champ. It made him feel strong. Daniel walked Ethan to school before going to work. Even if he was tired, he never showed it. He always smiled. Because Ethan was his whole world. Their life was simple. They did not have much money. Ethan wore the same shoes for 2 years. They did not go on vacations. They did not eat in restaurants. But every night, Daniel and Ethan sat together and talked. Daniel always said one thing: "We may be poor in money, Ethan, but we are rich in honesty. Never forget that." Ethan believed his father was the most honest man in the world. And he was right. Harrison Financial Group was owned by a powerful man named Victor Harrison. Victor Harrison was famous. He appeared on TV. He gave interviews. He donated money to charities. People called him a business genius. But inside the company, workers knew another truth. Victor Harrison was cruel. He shouted at employees. He fired people easily. He cared only about profit. And Daniel, the janitor, saw many things while cleaning the offices at night. He saw secret meetings. He heard angry arguments. He saw important papers left on desks. Daniel was not an educated man, but he was not foolish either. One night, something changed everything. It was a Friday night. Most workers had gone home. Daniel was cleaning the top floor where the executives worked. That floor had thick carpets, large glass windows, and expensive furniture. While cleaning Victor Harrison's office, Daniel saw a file on the desk. The file was open. On the top page, big red letters said, "Confidential pension fund transfer." Daniel did not want to look. He respected privacy. But then he saw a number. $48 million. His hands froze. Under that number, he saw something strange. The money belonged to a pension fund, retirement money for thousands of workers. Teachers, drivers, nurses. But the document showed that the money was being moved to a private account. Daniel felt cold. "This is wrong," he whispered. He took a photo with his old phone. Just one photo. He did not know that this photo would destroy his life. Daniel makes a choice that night. Daniel could not sleep. He sat on the edge of his bed while Ethan slept peacefully. Daniel thought, if this money is stolen, many families will suffer. People will lose their retirement money. This is not right. He was afraid. Victor Harrison was powerful. But Daniel remembered his words to Ethan. "We are rich in honesty." The next morning, Daniel did something brave. He contacted a journalist. The journalist's name was Maria Lopez. She worked for a small news website that investigated corruption. They met at a coffee shop. Daniel was nervous. His hands shook. "I don't want money," Daniel said. "I just want the truth to come out." Maria looked serious. She understood the danger. "This is big," she said. "Very big. Are you ready for consequences?" Daniel nodded slowly. "For my son's future?" "Yes." 3 days later, the news broke. Harrison Financial under investigation for pension fund fraud. The city was shocked. TV channels talked about it. Social media exploded. People were angry. Victor Harrison denied everything. "This is false," he said on TV. "Fake accusations." But inside the company, they started searching. Who leaked the information? Security cameras were checked. Computer records were examined. And soon, they found Daniel. 1 week later, Daniel was called to the office. But something felt wrong. 2 security guards stood at the door. Inside the office, Victor Harrison sat with a cold face. On the desk was a bag. Inside the bag, cash. "Daniel," Victor said, smiling slightly. "You made a mistake." Daniel stayed silent. Victor continued, "You entered my office. You stole money. We have evidence." Daniel's eyes opened wide. "That's not true." Victor leaned forward. "Sign this confession. Say you tried to steal money." "We will be gentle." Daniel understood. They were framing him. "I will not lie," Daniel said. Victor's smile disappeared. "Then your life will be destroyed." That evening, police came to the apartment. Ethan was doing homework when he heard the knock. He opened the door. 2 officers stood there. "Daniel Cole, you are under arrest for attempted theft and corporate espionage." Ethan's heart stopped. "Dad," he whispered. Daniel looked at his son with pain in his eyes. "It's okay, champ," he said softly. "I did nothing wrong." But they took him away. Ethan stood in the hallway, shaking, watching the police car leave. He was only 14 years old, and his world had just broken. That night, Ethan did not cry loudly. He sat on the bed, holding his father's old jacket. He remembered his father's words, "We are rich in honesty." Ethan looked out of the window at the big city lights. His eyes were no longer the eyes of a child. They were the eyes of someone who had lost something important. In a quiet voice, he said, "I will prove you are innocent, Dad. I promise." And in that moment, a normal boy began to change into someone else, someone patient, someone determined, someone who would one day make powerful people afraid. 5 years later, Chicago was still loud, still fast, still bright, but Ethan Cole was no longer the 14-year-old boy standing in a hallway watching a police car take his father away. He was now 19 years old, taller, quieter, harder. His face had changed. His eyes had changed the most. Before, they were soft and curious. Now they were calm, but always thinking, always watching. Daniel Cole was sent to prison. The court believed the company's story. They showed fake evidence, fake documents, fake witnesses. A poor janitor could not fight a billion-dollar company. Ethan was sent to live with his Aunt Linda in a small town outside Chicago. Aunt Linda was kind, but life was not easy. She worked long hours at a grocery store. Money was always tight. But Ethan had one powerful fuel inside him: purpose. Every night, he replayed that moment in his mind. The office. The bag of money. Victor Harrison's cold smile. The handcuffs on his father. He did not feel loud anger. He felt something more dangerous. Silent fire. Ethan visited his father once every month in prison. The prison room was gray and cold. Thick glass separated them. They spoke through phones. Daniel always asked, "How is school, champ?" Ethan never spoke about revenge. He simply said, "I'm studying hard." One day, Daniel looked serious. "Ethan, listen to me. Do not let hate control you." Ethan nodded. But inside, he thought, this is not hate, this is justice. At school, Ethan became obsessed with one subject: money. Not because he loved wealth, because he wanted to understand power. He spent hours in the library reading about Banks, investments, stocks, company structures, corporate law, he learned one truth. Big companies do not fight with guns. They fight with information, and Ethan decided he would become better at their own game than they were. In college, Ethan met Professor Alan Reeves. Reeves was old, with gray hair and sharp eyes. He had worked on Wall Street for 25 years before becoming a teacher. Most students found his class boring. Ethan found it fascinating. One day after class, Reeves stopped him. "You ask different questions," the professor said. "Why?" Ethan answered honestly. "I want to know how powerful companies hide money." The professor studied him carefully. "That knowledge is dangerous," Reeves said. Ethan replied calmly, "So is ignorance." For the first time in years, someone smiled at Ethan like they saw potential. Professor Reeves began giving Ethan extra books. Not normal textbooks, real-world case studies, corporate scandals, financial crimes, whistleblower cases. Ethan learned how money can be moved through fake companies, how executives hide illegal funds, how digital records can be traced, how corruption leaves patterns. Reeves once told him, "Money always leaves footprints. You just need to know where to look." Ethan never forgot that sentence. At 20, Ethan got an internship at a small financial data company in Chicago. He returned to the city where everything started. The tall buildings no longer made him feel small. They felt like targets. His job was simple: analyze spreadsheets. Most people hated it. Ethan loved it. Numbers told stories. And Ethan was learning how to read them. One late night, while working overtime, Ethan saw a familiar name in a report. Harrison Financial Group. His heart beat faster. He opened the data. Transactions, investments, transfers. Then he saw something strange. Money moving through small companies with no real business. Fake addresses, fake directors. Exactly like the cases Professor Reeves had shown him. Ethan leaned back in his chair. "They're still doing it," he whispered. Victor Harrison had not stopped. He had just become more careful. Ethan started saving copies of public records. Legally available data. Nothing illegal. He built a private folder on his computer at home. Every file had one label. HFG. He was patient. He did not act. He collected. Like a hunter tracking footprints in the snow. One prison visit changed Ethan's life again. Daniel looked weaker. His hair had more gray. "Ethan," he said softly, "my health is not great." Ethan's chest felt tight. "But I am proud of you," Daniel continued. "You became strong without becoming cruel." Ethan forced a smile. But when he left the prison that day, he stood outside for a long time. Wind blew across the parking lot, and he made a new promise. "I won't just clear your name. I will expose all of them." A year later, Ethan received an email from Professor Reeves. Subject: "You were right." Inside was a document. A government investigation had quietly started into suspicious pension fund movements. But they had no insider, no whistleblower, no key evidence. Ethan stared at the screen. Fate had opened a door. Now he had to choose: stay safe or step into the fire. He remembered his father in handcuffs. He opened a new email. Recipient: Maria Lopez, the same journalist who helped his father years ago. Message: I have information about Harrison Financial, bigger than before. But this time, we do it carefully. He pressed send. That night, Ethan looked at his reflection in the window of his small apartment. He no longer saw a victim. He saw someone prepared, not with anger, but with knowledge. And knowledge in the world of power was the sharpest weapon of all. Ethan did not rush. Revenge driven by anger is loud. Revenge driven by intelligence is silent. Ethan chose silence. He and Maria Lopez began working together secretly. They met in small places: libraries, coffee shops, public parks. Never the same place twice. Maria was shocked by what Ethan had. "Ethan, this is not small corruption," she said. "This is a system. Fake companies, hidden accounts. Pension money moved through layers of businesses like water flowing through underground pipes. Victor Harrison had built a machine for stealing, and Ethan had found the blueprint. Remember what Professor Reeves said? Money always leaves footprints. Ethan followed those footprints for months. He worked during the day, investigated at night, less sleep. More coffee, more focus. He traced one transfer from a teacher pension fund to a fake consulting company. From there, the money went to a luxury real estate project. Owner? A shell company. Owner of that shell company? A private trust. Controller of the trust? Victor Harrison. Ethan stared at the connection map on his laptop. Lines connected everything. This was not a guess anymore. This was proof. Maria published the first article. Second wave of suspicion around Harrison Financial. This time, she did not accuse. She asked questions, smart questions. Government agencies noticed. Investigators contacted Maria privately. She did not give Ethan's name. She just said, "There is a source." And the source is right. Soon, federal investigators reopened the case. Victor Harrison went on TV again. "This is harassment," he said. "My company follows all laws," but his smile looked tight, forced. Inside Harrison Financial Group, panic started. Executives deleted emails. Lawyers worked day and night. Some employees were scared. One of them was a young accountant named Liam Parker. Liam had seen strange transactions but stayed quiet out of fear. Then he read Maria's article. He thought, maybe I'm not alone. Liam contacted Maria. He became the second whistleblower. Now the wall had cracks. One evening, Ethan received a message from an unknown number. "Stop now, or you will regret it." Ethan did not reply. The next day, he received another message. A photo. It was him leaving his apartment. Someone was watching. Maria was worried. "This is dangerous." Ethan nodded. "I know," he said calmly. But inside, the silent fire burned brighter. Then it happened. The key piece. Liam secretly gave them internal transaction logs. Not public data. Internal. Signed approvals. Digital timestamps. Victor Harrison's name. Direct authorization. This was the bullet. Maria handed everything to federal investigators. Now it was out of their hands. The storm was coming. One morning, news exploded across America. CEO Victor Harrison arrested in federal fraud investigation. TV helicopters flew over his mansion. Reporters shouted questions. Victor, the powerful billionaire, walked out in handcuffs. Just like Daniel Cole had, the image was everywhere. Ethan watched the TV in silence. No smile, no celebration. Just deep breathing. Months later, the courtroom was full. Victims spoke. Retired teachers, sick workers, families who lost savings. Then Daniel Cole's case was reopened. The false evidence was exposed. The lies were clear. The judge said the words Ethan had waited years to hear. Daniel Cole is innocent. Ethan closed his eyes. Tears came, not of sadness, of release. Outside the prison gates, Daniel walked out slowly. Ethan stood there. They looked at each other. Older, changed, stronger. Daniel smiled first. "You kept your heart clean, champ." Ethan nodded, voice shaking. "Yes, Dad, and I kept my promise." They hugged tightly. Years of pain melted in that moment. Later that night, they sat together like old times. Simple food. Small table. Daniel said, "You didn't destroy him with hate." Ethan replied softly, "No, I defeated him with truth." Victor Harrison went to prison. The company paid billions in compensation. Laws changed. Protection for whistleblowers became stronger. And Ethan? He did not become rich. He became something more powerful. A financial investigator who helped expose corruption, because revenge gave him a mission, and justice gave him peace. You do not need fists to fight. You do not need anger to win. Knowledge, patience, truth. Those are the strongest weapons in the world.